Hey, what's up, guys? We have Greg Judd here, the lead singer of the IDKs. How's it going, Greg? How you doing today?
Hi, yeah, I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, so could you tell
Cool.
us a little bit about yourself and your band first?
Yeah, yeah, of course, absolutely. So yeah, we're the IDKs. We're an indie rock and roll band based in Essex in England in the UK. We've been going for about 3 or 4 years now. We're starting to take off, as you can see from like Spotify and things like that. We're gigging all around Essex and London. We're a four piece indie band, and yeah, we're just on the rise and just working on our thing.
Sweet, man. So yeah, I listened to you guys a little bit before, and I like it. I'm into it. Like I said before, I'm into indie rock, and it kind of gives me like I was trying to think of who it reminded me of, like similar to, and it's kind of like I feel like the Bounce. Have you heard of the Bouncing Souls?
No, I've not heard of it.
No, or like Japandroids,
I've not heard of it. I'm
or
definitely going to listen to these after though.
or there's one band in particular with your voice, which is kind of like a rough voice. I like it. It's
Yeah,
almost kind of like a punk voice over indie
thank you.
music.
Yeah.
Um, and there was one band in particular. I think that I might be forgetting them. And I'm trying to think of who else you would remind me of. But yeah, who are you? There's one band I'm missing that I thought about. But yeah. Anyways, who are you influenced by then? I don't know if we're on the same page, like musically. I'm sure we have some crossover, but
Yeah, so well, our influences are bands like, there could be a list like Oasis, Blur, Feeder. We've got some influences there like Foo Fighters, Nirvana, Red Hot Chili Peppers, uh, and there are punk. Well, I guess it's more pop punk, but there are influences like Blink-182, um, and them sort of them sort of pop punk bands. Feeder, I think they're a great band. And then also there's like sort of more modern British indie bands like Catfish. I guess I'd say Blocks a bit, but they're a bit more towards the pop side, I'd say. They'll probably hate it if I said that. But yeah, but then it's just
who was
like
that last one? Blocks.
Blocks, yeah, Bloxx. They're still. I mean, I'd say they're quite a big band. Maybe in the UK they're more bigger. They're not as active at the moment as they were. I think they're still technically together, um, but their lead singer, she had a couple of issues and things like that she's working on. So I think that's why they're sort of taking a bit of a hiatus. But yeah, there's quite a few sort of British influences there. I guess the Beatles and yeah, just British rock in general and just rock of like the 90s and early noughties.
Yeah, so it sounds almost like more mainstream than like
Yeah.
indie rock. Yeah, like the Oasis and
Mm,
Nirvana and Foo Fighters. Yeah. But
yeah.
yeah, so in terms of like so you have one EP out, right? And it's called I like
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, it's I like literally just
Something.
like to
Something about you, EP.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
you guys have been in a band for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And so like what's I guess like we'll just go into like what's it been like being like a band and it says you said you're on the rise. So like how like what are your Spotify numbers and all that? I mean they're pretty good then it sounds like.
Yeah, they're doing okay. So I think we're getting around just over 1,000 monthly listeners. I mean they're not huge, but they're definitely on the way up. I mean, combined just on Spotify, I think we've got over 10,000 streams on over all the tracks. Our biggest track, Never Listen, is on over 6,000. I think the next one is Something About You, which is the title track, which was I think is just over 3,000. So. Yeah, we're starting out pretty good with some early tracks hitting, in the close to the working on our first 10,000 stream hit. So yeah, just I guess we're still a fairly small band and stuff like that, but yeah, we're just working our way up through the grassroots to, reach some big numbers.
Yeah, and how old are you?
Me, I'm 30.
30. Okay. So
Mm,
yeah, you're still like pretty young and I mean like yeah, I used to be in a band and it's like it was hard, you know. I mean, I was in a band like 20 years ago or so.
mm,
And so there wasn't really much of the whole I mean, there was like a little bit of the internet, but it's like not like it is
yeah,
now where like you can put your shit everywhere.
Mm,
And but it was, I mean, it was hard getting people to like get to shows and stuff like that. How are your
mm.
shows looking?
Yeah, really good. We had a gig just last week at Mascara Bar and this is on our TikTok and our Instagram. The crowd were absolutely phenomenal. That they were going fucking crazy. That shit was so good. We yeah, they were just, they were singing our tunes, they were singing the covers. It got to a point like on the last one of the last song, because what the last song we play is All the Small Things by Blink 182, and we're playing that. I couldn't hear the instruments over the crowd, so it got to the end of the song and I was struggling to play because I was just playing purely via memory rather than actually being able to hear my other bandmates, which was actually quite an incredible feeling. So yeah, loving that, and yeah, the gigs are good and things are going well, I think.
That's pretty sick, man. Yeah, how many people were there at the show?
Uh, how many capacity is it? Scarborough Park. Let's see. So the capacity is probably about 120. So I'd say probably between 80 to 100, I would say. There must have been there 80 to 100 people, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, like when I
Mm.
was, like I was saying, when I was in the band, if we could get 80 to 100 people to a show, like on a
Mm.
regular, consistent basis, then that was like good, and that was good. You know what I mean? And same thing with your Spotify listeners. Like if you can get like over 1,000, as long as you have like a steady stream of even 1,000, that's a
Yeah.
thousand people listening to your music
Yeah.
that wouldn't have otherwise. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Do you guys have any like music videos on YouTube or anything, or any YouTube
No,
presence?
nothing yet. So with music videos, I mean, everyone seems to be putting them out at the moment, but I mean, like I sit there and I think about it like how me and my friends, how we listen to our music and how we meet and see new bands and stuff like that. Like, I mean, you probably should for the content reasons and things like that, but when I hear a new band, it's usually just listening through Spotify. I like their music. I'll continue to listen. I'll be like, "Oh, these guys are good guys. Do you know this band? Oh, let's go see them live." Like I can't remember sitting down. I mean, maybe it's different in America. Maybe you guys are doing it a bit differently, but I can't remember the last time I sat down and sort of went through watching music videos. It's just listening to playlists, listening to music that I like, and then I'll just go see bands live or see them at a festival and think, oh, these guys are good. I'll listen to these more and stuff like that. So we're sort of aiming for that sort of exposure and that method. We are on social media. We do post content. I mean, it's hard for us because we feel like in today's society, you're better off. Like I was literally explaining this to one of my friends the other day. You're better off having a marketing degree um, and going out and posting content and becoming a musician that way, you're more likely to succeed than learning an instrument. I'd say if like doing music now to become successful, it's just so crazy the way it is. But yeah, we're just musicians, so if if eventually someone offers to do a music video for us, or the money's there to do it, then yeah, we'll do it. If not, then we're just going to focus on what's important to us, which is the music, playing to the gigs, getting music out to people, and just doing that side of things really.
Yeah, like I mean, like you said, I think there must be a lot of people who obviously do watch YouTube for videos, but
Yeah,
like
of
I
course.
mainly I listen to a lot of podcasts now, and like
Hmm.
there's no way that I can sit there on my phone and like watch the whole, pod hour, 2, 3 hour long podcast. I
Mm,
just listen to it in my car. Same thing with music. Like I don't really listen. I pretty much do almost all listening in my car.
mm,
I'm not really big on like because I get like distracted easily. So if something's on when I'm like in my room or something, it'll just like distract me. I mean,
yeah.
obviously I'll put on music in my room, but it's like it's mostly just in the car. I don't usually watch it.
Mm,
But in terms of like a what a common base of music we listen to, for one, I'm trying to think of some band. Like obviously Blink 182 used to be my favorite band, and they
mm.
probably, they're still one of my favorite bands. Like, I don't like their new music as much
Yeah,
as
no, I'm the same. The other
yeah.
bandmates don't agree with me, but I agree with you.
See,
I
that's
agree with you
that's
very
that's
much.
kind of crazy to me. Like they actually think the new music is better, but that's just like
I do.
surprising to me.
This is the thing, though. I do understand it. I do understand. But the thing is, for me, I get the artist perspective of it in a way. It's so hard to explain as a listen. I get what you're saying. I completely agree with you, and I get what you're saying. As a listener, because I'm of the same opinion of you is that I don't think their new music is good, but I do believe that they think that their new music is good. When I'm sitting there and like I've written some songs and like we'll put songs out and they'd be doing really good, and I've written a new song and I'm like, oh, this is amazing as well. Where I've listened to that song so much, like I guess it's just more in terms of the fact that that song is more personable to you. That song's more um, because you got to understand that as a listener, you're from the perspective of, oh, I love this song, this is great, I'm going to listen to this on repeat. Whereas for them, they wrote the song, recorded it, and threw it out to you, like to us guys, and this is in the same sort of process. So the way they listen to it is so different from the listener, and I do understand that aspect of why they think their new music is better because I do genuinely believe they wrote these songs and thought, oh my God, these sound amazing. And they would have done the same thing when they wrote things like, All the Small Things, Rock Show, all them sort of tracks like that. They would have written them and gone, oh, these are amazing, let's put them out. The process doesn't change for them, whereas as a listener, we've got so many different things, when we first listened to them, the people who we listened to them with, the nostalgia behind the music, the gigs that we went to go listen to that music and how it made us feel. So, yeah, I do get why they feel that way, but I also understand why, me and yourself as listeners would feel differently to that.
Yeah, well, I think that's a big part of it. Is I grew up listening to Dude Ranch, well, Cheshire Cat, Dude Ranch, Enema of the State, Take Off Your Pants
Yes, yeah.
Jacket, and then Blink-182 Untitled, which I would say
Yeah.
those five albums are almost perfect. Like,
Mm.
I mean, with a few exceptions, like
Yeah, yeah, of
I
course.
think like almost every song I just love, and it's like, and so,
Mm.
but anyways, I think that a part of it is probably like you're kind of saying, I just respond more to the old stuff when I was growing up as opposed to
Yeah.
now. I'm kind of like, it just seems like they've kind of changed their sound too, and it's like that's
Yeah.
obviously fine. It's kind of hard to say like how they've changed it. Like it's more,
Mm.
it almost might be like more actual punk as opposed to pop punk maybe. But
Mm.
so I totally get that, and your bandmates probably they're probably more used to the newer stuff, whereas I'm more used to the older stuff. But like with a
Mm.
lot of these bands, and I want to see like where we cross over. But have you heard like Death Cab for Cutie?
Nah, I'm not.
What about like
Uh,
Taking Back Sunday or
yes, Taking Back Sunday rings a
okay,
bell. Yeah.
okay, all these bands that I used to listen to, and I just
Mm.
went to a show last night, the Blood Brothers, or no, the night before. Have you heard of the Blood Brothers?
I've not,
Yeah, I
I feel
mean
like these are
they're
more like American indie bands and
it's
stuff like that.
American indie,
Yeah.
and it's also from like the early 2000s. Some
Oh,
most of
okay.
them like were really big in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
But these
yeah,
are
yeah.
some of my favorite bands, and I mean the Blood Brothers just go nuts live, absolutely
Mm,
fucking crazy live.
mm,
And but anyways, yeah. So I wanted to see. But anyways, what I was gonna say is a lot of these bands that I listened to in the early 2000s,
mm.
2000s, their music isn't as good now, and it's like maybe it's just because I grew up with them, and maybe their
Yeah.
music is good now to other people. But anyway, so yeah, what are you said who you're influenced by, but who are some of the indie bands that you're into? Like, are you into like the 1975 and stuff like that?
Yeah, I would say the 1975 now are more mainstream. The indie
Yeah.
bands that I'm into, Catfish and the Bottlemen, they done a tour, and I don't know if it got cancelled or not because I was going to go see them in London. There's a band called The Hunter. They're a really good band. Some bands that are doing amazing in the moment in the north part of the UK. Well, a British band that are doing really well in Essex. Bilk, they're an indie band. You've got the Lilacs, you've got the Rosadocs, you've got the K's, you've got Red Rum Club. I'm going to miss out so many, and there's going to be so many bands who hate me. The Cover Sets, the Cheap Thrills are doing all right. The Lottery Winners, they're smashing it at the moment. Um, I've got a list of them, and yeah, there's just at the moment like the scene. This is the thing. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm as a band, like I'm more involved in the scene of like seeing what's going on and things like that. But yeah, what's going on at the moment is amazing. The music at the moment is amazing. I feel like people are putting themselves on a higher standard because there's a lot more competition, which is great. But then it's also really hard when you're um, a needle in a hay like a sea of haystacks.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like we're on like a different because I haven't
Mm.
really heard of any of those bands. I don't know if those bands are like really indie, like really like
Yeah, they
playing
are. They
clubs
are.
like you guys
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
What about
Well,
yeah
no,
the
these bands are they're bigger than us, but they're probably like, I guess, like a few stages higher than us, I would say, in like who
Yeah.
they're performing to.
Yeah. But it's like also like I was saying, the age gap, I'm like
Mm,
older than you. So um yeah, it's just the age gap is there. But in terms of like the 1975 bands like that
mm.
who I would know of, I think you kind of probably already named them. But are there any other bands that I would know of like the 1975 similar to that ilk? But
Um, I guess the only ones, because realistically, I mean, in the UK at the moment, and especially with the charts and the way the music's going, everyone is reverting back to the music of like the rock music of the noughties and the 90s. So they're all really mainstream, which is sort of like Arctic Monkeys, I guess Catfish and the Bottom are a lot newer. Oasis, Blur, who else have you seen? I mean, this is the thing, the Killers are American. Are they American or Canadian? They're American, right?
American, actually from
Yeah.
Utah, yeah.
Utah, yeah, but for some reason I just feel like the British believe like they're like a UK band just because the influence they've had on like our culture. The Fratellis, there must have been tons back in the day. The Kooks, I've seen so many of these bands. Jamie T, well, he's an artist, but Jamie T, I guess Jake Bug people are into. But yeah, these are all like I guess these are all the British rock bands that I'm sort of naming off that would have been because I'm assuming like the bands that you're talking about when you're talking about the indie that you listen to, they would have been like bands that you would listen to, like indie bands that you'd listen to at festivals. And this is the exact same thing over here, but I think we're just, I guess it's just worlds apart in the type of music that we'd listen to.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised because I just kind of like assumed that when you said indie rock, I was like, oh,
Mm,
it's probably the same indie rock. Because pretty much everyone in America, I would kind of assume would who's into indie rock would probably know the bands that I'm naming, and I don't really know the
yeah,
bands.
I
And
reckon. Yeah.
but then also like um I'm kind of like, oh, I'm kind of like not really into the new music as much as the old music, but it sounds
Mm,
like you have a whole new, and this is what I've been wondering. Like there's a
mm,
whole new group of bands that like I don't even
yeah,
know about, like you
yeah,
just named.
yeah.
And I'm like, so I'm really the one kind of like missing out because I'm not young enough to be checking them out, or
I
just
don't,
like
I
don't
don't,
hear about them.
I don't think it's your rate. I mean, some of these bands are still they're growing in the UK. I mean, breaking in America for a UK band is insanely hard because realistically, even though you do know of Oasis now, Oasis never broke America, which is an insane fault to have because of the way they're selling out over there and here and things like that. Um,
They didn't ever break
nah.
America. I would just
So
assume that they did.
yeah, so basically, what happened was with Oasis. So they obviously broke the UK, like absolutely smashed it here and through Europe. They like Noel Gallagher on like I think when the second out it was either when the second or the first album came out. The second album's the massive one with like Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, all the tracks like that. He was
Yeah.
busking outside the show and no one even knew who he was. Like, you know, they went to America, they got on crystal meth, they didn't sleep for days on end. They went to Whiskey A Go Go and then they done a gig. It all went tits up, and then they pretty much just flew back. And they did go to and from America, and like during their time, and they did do gigs, and they were selling like arenas and stuff. But they were during the time that they were first active, they weren't massive. But then online, because their interviews are just like Liam Gallagher is just the funniest fucker like you've ever met in your life. You
Yeah.
know, in his interviews, he's just so upfront, so forward, says it how it is. And Noel, you know, he's also like he's a really funny guy. So like when they're in interviews, them sort of things went viral. And that's what sort of boosted it. Obviously, everyone already knew Wonderwall because it was such a great tune. And then I think that's when they actually broke America, or I would say when they broke America was when they weren't even together.
So yeah, it was actually what like around what time would you say that they broke America? Was it like more recent or like more like 2000s? To
I'd say because they split in like 2009, so I'd say I guess they were sort of known around that time, but they just weren't massive. But I'd say it would be in between then and probably 10 odd years ago, or just after they split up. But it was mainly around the time of when I guess you'd have to look at the time when either YouTube started going viral and clips and you know memes and things like that started appearing. It would have been around that time when people would have started watching their interviews and getting to know them more as people. And then people would probably listen and be like, "Oh, I know Wonderwall, I know Don't Look Back in Anger because they have some great, sorry, they have some great tunes." And then yeah, I assume they would have just grown from then. So I can't really pinpoint it, but as far as I'm aware, yeah, they never actually broke America in the traditional sense, like some of, like for instance, you'd know who Adele is, and you'd probably know who Ed Sheeran is, and it shames me to say it, but you'd probably know who One Direction is,
Yeah.
because these guys have fully broke America while they were artists, whereas during the time, I don't think many people would have known. They would have known certain songs, but they wouldn't have known Oasis as a band, whereas now they're just huge all over the world.
Yeah, now they're yeah, I don't know how it was back then. I mean, I remember Wonderwall when it came out.
Mm,
Like you're saying, they weren't as big as what they are now, but now they're huge here and
yeah,
potentially I think potentially one of the biggest bands in the world, right? At this
yeah,
point. Yeah. And so are they kind of they're probably they're probably the biggest England band then, right?
yeah.
Or UK
Well,
band?
the argument is always, I mean, they were heavily influenced by the Beatles, but the argument's
Yeah.
always going to be the Beatles or Oasis. I think if you ask the average British person, they're going to say the Beatles. My opinion, I'm of the opinion of Oasis just purely because I prefer their music. I learnt to play guitar by listening and learning their tracks. I learnt to write songs by looking at their structures and understanding how they're writing. It was usually, well, it was them and Catfish and the Bottlemen was sort of how I learnt to play guitar and songwrite. So I am heavily influenced by them and I absolutely adore their music. And if Oasis wasn't a band, I wouldn't be in the band, so I assume the IDKs wouldn't be around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of the biggest band, it would probably be the Beatles
Hmm.
in general, but I kind of mean like still around, even though
Oh,
Oasis,
still around? Yeah,
yeah.
Oasis.
Well,
Yeah,
them
hands down, in my opinion.
and you too, right? I don't know if you two at this point probably maybe isn't as big as Oasis.
I feel like U2 is bigger in America than they are in the UK because yeah, everyone knows them. They are an amazing band. They're outstanding and they're good. But here in Britain, um, you like Bono is just known as like the guy who loves himself. I don't think he's a very I don't dislike him. I don't dislike their music. I think they're good, and that's not just me licking his ass. Because if I didn't like him, I'd straight up say. But yeah, I think the most people would say that he loves himself too much. But yeah, I am a fan. Or his son's in a band called Inhaler. Have you heard of them?
I
So
feel like I have heard it in
mm,
Inhaler. Is
yeah,
it?
so Bono's son is in a band. So I've not really listened to them enough, but it's just the whole nepotism thing. I struggle with because when you know how much hard work goes into creating a band and just getting to where we are now, it's painful to see. Like they are good, like they're not shit. Like for me to say that it was just handed to them completely isn't completely true. But obviously they've got a massive head start on most of the bands that get out there, and where they were in 4 years' time is like, you know, we're still plodding along. So um, yeah, they have got a bit of a silver spoon, and I guess you guys would call it privilege.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I agree with you on that. It's
Mm.
hard to see somebody get like a 10x like head start on you, just because their dad is
Yeah,
Bono. And you too is from Ireland, right?
correct. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like a lot of like the pop stuff. I just can't get like I can't get into Ed Sheeran at all. And like
No, same. I'm the same.
I've heard people be like, oh, like Ed Sheeran's good, or like you said, One Direction.
Mm,
And it's like, oh, I mean, I'm not into pop, so that's probably it. But
no, I
w
agree.
what about like the newer pop stuff, like Charlie XCX? Are you into like that kind of stuff at all?
Absolute shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't listen to any. Like honestly, for me, one thing I will say about Ed Sheeran, I'm not a massive fan of his music. I think his music is for like mums, basically. Um, but or moms as you guys call it. Uh, but he is a fantastic songwriter, and I have learned some tips from him because I think understanding how people have become, even if you're not a fan of their music and even if you're not a fan of them, like they must be doing something right. I'm of that opinion. So I have learned tips about songwriting. I wouldn't use his structure because I'm like the same as you. I'm not a fan of his music. Um, but yeah, I think pop music today is just reused and um reformatted garbage. Like it's just like you listen to the songs and it's like this is like I'll listen to a song and I'll be like, I've heard this song before, and you'll find out there's a sample from like the 80s or the 90s, or like Dua Lipa is literally just replaying the same shit from the 80s, 90s and 70s or whenever, and just recreating it into a new song, and like, oh, I made this. This is artistry. It's like you didn't. This is someone else has already made this and you've just put some words over it.
Who was that?
Um
Did you say Dua
Dua
Lipa?
Yeah,
Dua
Dua
Lipa?
Lipa.
Yeah.
Dua
Is
Lipa,
she
Dua
from
Lipa.
is she from UK or?
Yeah, I think she's from Camden, which is where we gig a lot.
Well,
So,
I mean, like it seems like to me with her and with a lot of these girls, like they're just hot. And
mm,
so, like, I mean, I don't really listen to Dua Lipa, and I
nah,
don't even
neither of
really know much about her. But like,
them.
I think I know she's hot, and she
Mm,
can sing, and so that's all you need. It's like, and like in
yeah.
today's world, like they're not even singing live. Like if you I don't know if you've heard of, have you heard of like Chappelle Rowan? Chappelle Rowan, she's like the new
Yes,
big.
yeah.
So she's the new big American singer, and don't get me wrong, like I actually think her songs are good, and I think she stands for something, and it's kind of like more kind of provocative, I guess you could say. But it's like when I've seen her and other people sing live, like she was just on SNL,
Mm,
like you can tell they're not even like really singing, they're just lip syncing, and it's like all
yeah.
they got to do is show up and
Fuck.
not even sing, just
So
show up and
poor,
hold a
innit?
mic there,
Mm,
and yeah, and it's like I mean, at least in my opinion, you got to be able to like write your own songs. You got to be able to
yeah.
sing live. If you're
Hmm.
not like you said, if you're not writing your own songs like Dua Lipa, and you're
Mm,
just like rehashing old songs and putting
hmm.
music over it, that's bullshit. I mean, that's
Yeah, great.
yeah. And obviously, you guys write all your own
Yeah,
songs, and yeah. I mean, in
yeah.
my opinion, that's almost like the foundation for what you need to be good. And because if you
Mm,
can't write your own shit, then it's like, well, you're just
what's
playing
the
other
point?
people's material. It's like, you
Exactly.
know,
Yeah, you're a karaoke singer. This is what I do
yeah.
when I see. I probably shouldn't be as toxic as this, but like when I see artists and you just see that all their songs are written for them, or they've got like someone helping them write it or something like that. Like, don't get me wrong, we don't mix and master our songs because I don't claim to be like a mixing engineer. You know, you need someone to make it sound good. But if you've got someone else writing your lyrics or putting the chords together, like I think the bare minimum is for your fans is get an instrument, put some chords down, and write some words like on top of it. If you can at least do that, then in my opinion, granted, you're a musician and you're doing your own music. Because I get when there's more added to it. Like, I mean, if I was a solo artist, I'd do a lot more. I'm just lucky that I'm in a band, I guess. But that's I guess the whole point of doing the music. But yeah, just the music industry at the moment is an absolute sham. I think Noel Gallagher put it best when he said that uh, everyone's just too scared of taking risks, and this is why you've got like people signing TikTok artists because they've got a fan base that they can sell to. But then there's no longevity in that because they're not actual musicians. They're just going to be like they're famous because they do TikTok. Then they start writing songs and then people are like, "What is this? I'm not going to keep listening to this." They might turn up for one or two because they're like, "Oh, they've released some music," but then when they hear it and realize, it's a bunch of shit, then they're not going to carry on. So they're not taking risks like they were back in the days. And for instance, with Oasis, like, what's his name? The Scottish guy who found him, Alan McGee. He turned up to a pub one day, saw Oasis playing just by chance, and was like, "I'm signing these," and then signed them. They signed to a subsidiary of Sony, and then they became the biggest band in the UK and made a shit ton of money. And if like Noel Gallagher said, if fashion houses just kept making the same clothes and didn't change up, people will eventually get bored. If like painters and artists were just painting the same things, people will get bored and stuff like that. And it feels like they're just pushing out the same like absolute garbage and the same songs over and over again and rehashing the same shit. And I just think, there's no risk there. They're not just sign a band. I haven't seen a band in the charts in the last God knows how long. In the last 10 years, I think there was a guy who claimed that one song was in the top 10, or was it top 40, top 100, whatever it was, and it was an old Beatles song. Like they're not pushing bands anymore, which I sort of get because obviously back in the day it was like, oh, we're going to smash up a hotel room, do a ton of drugs, and we might not turn up to the gig, which I get. But you can see these bands working hard; they're doing it themselves. Just sign them, and you will make like a killing. Like the music's there, the artistry's there, the good bands are there, but the music industry is just too scared, and I think Spotify's probably taken a lot of money away from them, so I think that's why they're they're going down that path.
Yeah. How's the Spotify? I mean, I've heard the Spotify model is like horrible for music. So are you guys getting like much of anything for
Um,
from it?
nah, we're getting we're getting absolutely nothing. Like I said, I was explaining this to
Yeah.
my friend the other day. So the model like as a new band is essentially get into playlists. Once you get playlists, people will start listening. Once you start listening, you get added to like release radar. You obviously get, from the band you must be listening to on Spotify. Like the same bands will come up again and again and again, and it just works on the Spotify algorithm, which is replayability and bringing people back to the platform. So the assumption is that if this person's listening to this song, I'll just keep playing it to them because this will keep bringing them back, which is partly true because obviously most people listen to the same, however many songs over again. But then you've got to get there. Then you get Release Radar. There's another playlist. What was it called? Weekly something? Oh, I can't remember, something like that. So then you're getting into them playlists, and then you just got to grow from there. And then eventually, yeah, you'll go quite big once you start building and building and building. You get signed and get more money. And like even when you're signed now, like it's just all they do is give you a loan and then go carry on working on what you're doing, which is just mental. Because back in the day you'd have about 20 people doing all this stuff for you. You're now doing it's like I'm doing social media, I'm selling the tickets. You don't The promoters really don't even sell tickets anymore. They just set up the gig and then say you guys promote. I guess this would have been the same for you. You're doing your social media, you're doing your TikTok, you're doing your Instagram. They want you to have a website. They want you to have a website with a mailing list. You've got to write the music, you've got to produce the music, you've got to make the music videos, you've got to turn up for the gigs, and it's like there's so much to do. So this is why I just take the approach of I'm just here to have fun. Like I'm not playing anyone's game. I'm doing my own thing. I'm gonna create the music when I like. I'm gonna put up Instagram and TikTok posts when I like. I'm gonna obviously get out to playlists and do the Spotify side of things because that's where I listen to most of my music. Um, and just enjoy myself, just have fun with it, like because once you start pushing it and you're doing it all the time, it feels like a job, and that's not why I got into it. I do it because I enjoy music, I love music, and it just drives me to keep going. So this is what it's about for me, just making that is the content that I enjoy making. That's not work for me. So I'm going to do that, keep pushing that out, and just keep working on that really.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing with me now with the podcast, and I'm doing some YouTube stuff too. It's like yeah, I pretty much have to do everything. I have to like,
Mhm.
and I think I'm not really expecting anybody to like do it for me, but it's like, I make the podcast, I put it up. If I want to put up clips, I got to put up clips. You got to do all the
Mm,
different like social media, and it's tough. But I kind of feel like if you can figure out a way to kind of like figure out how to do that, you can. I would assume that you would be able to kind of like get big if you're able to like get on all the right, like you were saying, playlists on Spotify or
mm,
whatever. And
yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
how we got it.
it's fucking hard. But I mean, I think it's always been hard. It's like
Mm.
in a way, I think that it's almost like better now because at least you do have Spotify up to put your music on there. Like
Yeah,
back in the Beatles days, it's kind of like it was literally just kind of like handing people records or whatever. I don't even, you know
yeah,
what I mean? Which
yeah.
would also
You're
be
playing
hard.
shows, I guess.
But then there's also like AI coming up too, AI music, which
Mm,
I've heard like Spotify. I've heard this. I don't know if it's true, but it's like Spotify has like whole like AI like kind of music that they're like putting in there. So they're like, if you like this, you might like this AI
mm,
song or whatever that they've made, but it's like just free
mm,
for them. I don't know how
yeah.
much of that how much AI is actually in there at this point, but like that's coming too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, because I had a conversation about this previously. I mean, maybe I'm just uneducated on it all, and I do need to get a bit more of an understanding and research. But I'm not really worried about AI when it comes to the arts because like AI, yeah, it can create a song in like 10 minutes and it can get the music out there and they can push it and it's like easy and it's free for them. But, what you'll notice about musicians and artists and things like that, like the proper hardcore fans, and you'll understand this as like a listener as well as being in a band. Like, I love Oasis not just because of their music, I love their attitude, I love their sound, I love the way they are as people. Like, there was a band years ago that I can't remember what they were called now, but I used to really like them, and then I saw them on Instagram, and they were just the cringiest group of lads, and I was just like, I don't know why, it gave me secondhand embarrassment. I was like, I can't listen to their music anymore because it's just
Yeah.
who they were, sort of thing. And like, I feel like it's more to do with just the music. Like AI, when you go to a gig, like I went and saw Liam Gallagher live, and like I'm arm in arm with an absolute stranger listening to him sing Wonderwall, and it's like AI can't recreate that. Like you said, when you see singers lip syncing and stuff like that, it's not the same. When you go out and you go see your favorite band, and there's everyone there, like in a world where we lack so much community because everything's online and people don't talk as much, people don't converse as much, people aren't meeting up. When you go to a gig and you're there with a stranger and you both have the same values and opinion of this band, and like you're just enjoying the moment and living in the moment, like AI can't take that away from you. And for me, it's not just about I don't make any money from this, so all we do is make a loss. So it's never been about money for me. This is about making the music, bringing people together, doing the gigs, and just having a good time. This is why I do this format. This is why I prefer doing podcasts and just chatting to people, because this form of content is what I enjoy. This is fun to me. When I upload this and and I'm promoting this on my Instagram and TikTok, and getting this out, and people are watching this, and this is going to be on YouTube forever. You know, when we're absolutely huge, because this band we're gonna be massive. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that we're already there. People are gonna go back through these archives. They're gonna watch these interviews. They're gonna be interested. They're gonna get to know me as a person. They're gonna get to understand what we're about. They're gonna see the journey. And this is real. This is the real stuff. The conversation me and you are having right now, this is so real. We're two human beings interacting, understanding each other, understanding music, getting to know each other on a level. And then you've got some band from down the road who's doing a TikTok dance, who's, uploading it to TikTok. What do you prefer as to see from your band? Because for me, it's this.
Yeah,
This is
this
this is
obviously, yeah.
yeah, this is for me what it's about. This is real. This is the better understanding. I don't want to see my favorite band doing cringy dances and embarrassing stuff just to push themselves up. So, yeah, I do
Yeah.
what's fun. I do what leads me to what I believe in, and yeah, I'm not going to sell out for anyone. So this is what
Yeah.
I'm about. This is what our band's about.
I totally agree. And yeah, I mean, it's essentially just about integrity and being yourself. And like, it's
100%.
the same thing with like movies. And like, I watch a lot of movies, and like, I'm really into
Same.
like really good, like, really well made
Yeah.
movies. And there's a lot of this shit they're pushing out there, like
Oh, mate, at the moment.
Marvel movies and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And like,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, that might make money, but it's like, in my opinion, like there's no integrity in doing that kind of
Yeah.
shit. You know what I mean? It's all about
Agreed.
doing, and same thing obviously with music. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of this TikTok bullshit going around, and it's probably
Mm,
making money, but it's more about the human connection, like you're saying, and having integrity about your music and writing your own music. Yeah.
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and not only that, but like you were saying with Oasis, part of the reason not only do they have good music, but it's like they're really interesting dudes. They're funny, and like
Yeah.
they talk shit, and they say what
Yeah.
they feel, and that's how
Exactly.
it should be. And that's what I would say
Mm.
to a band now is like,
Be real.
on be real and on stage, like talk shit, and like,
Mm.
and you know what I mean, like get people's attention, like you almost
Yeah.
like want to rile people up
100%.
really. And I think there's like there's way more, there's a whole lot in music that goes kind of beyond the music, and like what we're saying is just like who you are as a person. And and that was one reason like why I like Blink-182 a lot when I saw them live, is because they were really funny too,
Yeah.
along with their music being good. In between songs they make jokes, and I'm like, oh, these guys are funny, like we have a similar personality, like
Yeah.
they talk shit.
Relatable.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of have you guys had any like offers or anything to get signed or?
Nah, nothing yet. To be fair, like, I mean, maybe this is my ego talking, but where highly, it's very high. I'm not going to say never because you just never know the circumstance, but unless one of I want to say the big three, I think they call them, signs us, which is like, I mean, I'd love to be signed by Sony because that means you get to tour Japan and like do all that sort of stuff, which would be crazy. I think it's Sony, Universal, or who's the other one? Who's the other one?
Warner Brothers or
Yes, I think it's Warner Brothers. I think you're right there. Yeah, I think they're the big three. So if a subsidiary of them signed us, then yeah, I'd go for it. Or if one of them three signed us, or maybe not even them three, but a big name signed us, and we'd go for it. If some small artistry, I'd let someone manage us, but yeah, I wouldn't be signed by a small independent label just because at the moment, from what I've heard, I mean, I don't know this firsthand. I'd look into the contracts and stuff like that, but this is just what I've heard from other bands because basically I'm in a group chat with a ton of bands, which is great. I wish I had the guy's name now because I put it out there because other bands this is great to get involved with. I'll send you the link. So what is this going on? Is this going on YouTube?
Yeah, like I have a video and then audio. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll send the link. So feel free to put this in the bio, or any other bands who are watching and want to see it get involved, then they absolutely can. So there's like a ginormous WhatsApp group chat, and there's this guy, and he got me involved, and there's literally hundreds and hundreds of bands in there, and there's discussions, talk about like how to sell your equipment, talk about promoters and stuff like that, and it's just so good. It's an amazing community. You can ask any question, and another band will be back to you within like a couple of seconds, and like there's so much knowledge in there that is so good. People helping with who to mix and master your songs, how to get the cheapest and most affordable like t-shirts, hats, merch and stuff like that, and how to sell. Um, and yeah, I'll send that over so we can send that. Sorry, what was the question again? I've gone so off topic, I feel here.
Um, I well, I think it was originally the signing, right?
Oh, signing. Sorry, yeah, yeah. Sorry.
No, but
I've gone so
that's
off topic
fine.
there.
That's fine. That's totally interesting because I think that's like, yeah, without a doubt, the best thing you can do is like team up with other people,
Yeah,
with other bands. And I've even thought about doing that.
100% their knowledge.
I haven't been as like motivated with the podcast thing, but it's like
Mm,
when I was doing it before, I was like, we should get like a group of 10 podcasts together
mm,
where we link up, we like interview each other, but then we also promote each other. But that's
yeah,
essentially, I don't know if you listen to like podcasts, but like that's kind of like what Joe Rogan does. Like him and
yeah.
I don't know if how much you know about that like world, but him and all
Mm.
his like fellow comedians like all
Yes,
kind of
yeah,
like
yeah,
hook
yeah.
each
Because
other
Joey
up.
Diaz is on there all the time as well, isn't he? I love Joey
Yeah.
Diaz. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm.
instead of being like we're in competition with this other band, it's like yeah, you team up with the other band, you learn from the other
Yeah,
band.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. Like
that's cool
I've.
that hello.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it cut out there for a second. I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Hold on one second.
Oh, let's go. Yeah, no, we're back. We're back. We're back.
Okay. I think I gotta put this on do not disturb.
Sorry.
All right. All right, cool. Yeah, so sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah, what were you saying?
Yeah, yeah, no, no. But I was saying about the yeah about the record deals. Yeah, so that was what I was saying about so many bands together was because I've been speaking to other bands and things like that, and they're saying that they'll sign contracts, they'll essentially get a loan from the record company, and then you'll have to pay that back. So you're essentially doing exactly what you're doing now, but you're in debt. And then if anything happens, like sometimes they can shelve you, which means like you're pretty much getting no exposure, no gigs, no anything like that because they own like essentially what's going on. So that's why we're trying to avoid that. Whereas like if you're in a on a big label, then I feel like I mean it still could happen, but then you've got more exposure, they've got more connections and stuff, so you can get out there. And I think as long as you're willing to work hard, you'll be good. But yeah, going back to the point that you were saying about working together. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think, even in the world of bands and things like that, like I refuse to slag off another Essex band, which is where we're from. It's the same, like all the bands from Manchester. I mean, I do hate it a bit because I feel like the London and the Essex bands don't really support each other the same way as they do up north. Like when you see bands in Liverpool and bands in Manchester and stuff like that, them guys will work together, they'll gig together, they'll meet each other, they'll support each other, and it's like a really close knit, and I feel like we need to build that down here. So I'm trying to be the future that I want to see, and that's why I'm pushing for that. So we can support each other. But I do agree. I think it brings each other together. Um, you're getting different fan bases, and they're coming together, and you can just grow from there. So I think yeah, it's great to support each other in any aspect that you can.
Yeah, then like if one band gets big, they can hook you up, or if you get
Oh,
big, you can hook
100%.
them
Yeah,
up. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that's very smart.
Beneficial for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of like playing or in terms of like so have you guys gone on any like tours or anything like that?
So at the moment, no. Our last gig was at Mascara Bar. I'm working on getting support slots now. Like I'm being very because the way the music's going, everything's going really well. I'm being very selective about the gigs that we're doing and the support gigs that we're doing. We're usually down the good mixer, so I might, if there is any empty slots or anything like that, I've got a contact there where I can speak to them and work down there, which is a very famous bar in Camden. But yeah, I'm just being very selective about our gigs and like where we're putting our energy. Like I said, we only do things that we enjoy. So at the moment, we're currently working on two singles that we're going to be releasing. Half the first single's done, and that's going to be released. So this is an exclusive, by the way. This is you're the first one to know. So the date that we're getting the next single out will be the 17th of January, is what we're aiming for. And then the next single after that, so that single's called You're Alright, and then the next single after that, Axiom, will be released. I want to say around April time. So we're currently working on two new singles. We haven't released anything for about a year, so we want to be aiming to be releasing, 4 tracks a year, just to be giving people that value for money when they come into the gigs. They've got all the tracks. That'll be our full set list out, and then yeah, it's just working on new music, uploading, and then taking the right gigs and seeing how things go.
And then where do you guys record? Do you go to a studio or like do you just do it yourself? Or
So yeah, recording like it's a bit of a mixed bag. So most of the instruments we record at home. So our process is that I'll lay down a guide track on guitar with some guide vocals, send it off to our bass player, and then he'll put down like a an automated drum track. If we need to add stuff, then our drummer will get involved, and he'll either do it through like a MIDI keyboard or like we'll go into a studio. Then the bass player puts down the bass. I'll put down rhythm guitar and any added bits, and we put lead guitar down. Then we'll go into a studio and do like backing vocals, ad libs, all that sort of stuff. And then once we're happy with it and we feel like we've got everything we need, then we'll send it off to um, a mix and master uh, engineer to get that done, and then that's when we'll upload. So that's pretty
so
much our
it's
process.
probably relatively cheap these days, right? Because I remember back in our day, like in
Mm,
my day, like you had to go somewhere for the most part unless you knew what you were
yeah,
doing. But now it's like there's so
mm,
many computer tools or whatever like that you can just do it on your own.
yeah.
Yeah. So
i
you
well, to that, I'd say yes and no because I guess yes, it might have been cheaper than back in the day, but to buy all the equipment is just so expensive because you've obviously got to buy a laptop. It's usually going to be an Apple Mac, which is going to cost you like a grand or two. Well, I think mine cost me about 2 grand, something mad like that. Then you're going to have to buy like all the equipment so that you can plug your instruments into the laptop. You need to buy mics. You need to buy decent mics if you want to record like acoustic guitars or record vocals. And obviously this is like other people if you're doing it at home. If you do it, then if you need to do it together, then you've got to pay for studio time, recording time you've got to pay for, and then mixing and mastering is just at the moment is so expensive. To get like someone half decent as well, it is yeah, it is costing. We've tried to do it like cheaper ways before, and sometimes it hasn't always worked out great. So I think on our next single we're gonna be paying a bit more, but we know guys, another Essex band, absolutely amazing, the Bracknell. I'd advise people to check them out. They advise us of this mix and master guy, so we're gonna go with him on our single that's gonna be out in April, um, and just see how that goes because yeah, that guy, their music is just top tier. They're doing amazing. So yeah, we're gonna give that a go and but yeah, it is quite expensive still.
yeah. And then you're the guitarist and lead singer. Then you got are you guys a four piece?
Correct, yeah, yeah.
So then you got a bassist, guitarist, and a drummer.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so in terms of just, so okay, so you guys started like 3 or 4 years ago, came out with that album, that EP a year ago, and then now you're doing.
Mhm.
So have you guys any interesting, I mean, just the experience of being in a band right now in Essex. Do you have any like kind of interesting, crazy stories? Or I mean, you haven't really gone on a full tour, right? But it's like just in terms of
No.
like local stuff, I guess. Um,
Um, nah, nothing too crazy. I mean, with us, it's just we turn up for the gig, we play. Um, yeah, we're not too mad. I mean, we go on nights out and stuff, and they're funny. And I mean, you forget most of it anyway because you get to the gigs. I mean, to be fair, there's a few times where just before because I love a drink, and like I'll be on the double vodkas, so like just before you get on stage, there's been at least two or three times where the band will look at me because every time they try and tell me to calm down, but I just can't help it. You know when you're so buzzed for it, you're ready for it. I don't. I mean, I've gigged sober. I don't get nervous, so I don't need the alcohol to calm my nerves. But just when I'm having a good time, it's just I just get carried away. And yeah, there's been times where I've got up there and for the first 10 minutes of the not 10 minutes, the first 5 minutes of the set, I'm struggling to play because my hands are just not doing what I want, and it gets a bit fun. But yeah, they usually turn all right. We sound great, and yeah, we do love going out for a drink and that after. But no, nothing mad yet. I think once we start touring and things like that, I think things will get. Because I know what I'm like, especially with some of my friends. Like, I think things will get a bit. I can't wait till we are signed and we are making crazy money. Because I really just want to throw the whole hotel room out the window. That's on my bucket list to do. Y-
Literally.
Yeah, fully. Like I want to go in a hotel room. It's paid for by a label. I don't have to pay a thing, and then just launch the whole lot out. It's on my bucket list of rockstar things to do. So, if you
Like
want
a
to live that rockstar life, you got to be ready for it.
like a Motley Crue type. Didn't they do
Mm,
that? Or bands like that would just like fuck up the hotel
yeah,
room? Yeah.
yeah. Just I need to do it at least once before I die.
Yeah. How many gigs have you guys played so far?
Oh, countless. I couldn't even. I don't even think I could. So say we've been going for 4 years, at least. If we've been going for 4 years, 12. It's got to be more than 40, I guess. I mean, it's not a huge amount. It's not massive, but yeah, it's got to
Good.
be. It's upwards of that. It could be way more. It could be around that figure. I'm can't remember. It's too many to have lost count. But yeah, we've played a fair few. We're very tight as a band, and yeah, live it's so easy now because it's just we've done it that many times. Where I can remember the first ever gig I did. If you'd have asked me to leave there and then I would have gone. It was awful, but yeah, ever since then, it's just easy. You get up, you do your thing, you have a laugh, and then you get pissed after.
Yeah. Have you played with like any bigger bands or any of the bands like you named?
Nah, that'll be a dream. I mean, we've played with PG Cialetta, who's like a big artist in Glasgow. He's absolutely smashing it at the moment. He's supported a guy called Lewis Dunford who's doing really well. Yeah, we're working on that at the moment. This is what I mean by selective gigs. We're trying to work on, getting these ones. We're definitely there and we're definitely ready and we've definitely got like the set list. We've got the music, we've we've done our gigs, like we've got our stripes, like we're ready to play these gigs. And everyone, if anyone doesn't believe us, feel free to come down and watch us live because every time, we play live, we've got people, coming up to us and I know you get like regardless, like if you play a gig, people are going to come up to you and say you do well, but you can just tell when the reaction's different when you've got an empty room and then like half the pub turns up and just starts watching you, whereas before it wasn't that with other bands. Like there's certain tells where and we I mean maybe this is just me being arrogant, I don't know, and the ego in me, but yeah, we're ready to take that next step, but it's just yeah, getting the right people to believe in you and getting the right support acts and getting the right crowd and getting the right push to get there. So that's what we're working on. We're doing really well in the Spotify world and the music side of things. It's just working on the live crowd and just building that now.
Yeah. And how often do you guys like practice?
Um, so the way we work, we practice at least once a week. Yeah, I'd say about once a week, and that's if we got a gig, we don't bother. If we're recording, then we'll focus on that. But yeah, we'll always try and practice at least once a week, and we'll do like 2 to 3 hours.
Do you guys have like a studio or do you have like your own play in your own place or
So yeah, we use in Loughton, which is in Essex, there's a place called Sound Lab. So that's where we go, and that's our current practice from. So yeah, that's where we're practicing at the moment.
yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I think there's like a disconnect because of because you're in England and I'm in America that I
Mm.
wouldn't have. I'm sure if I lived there, I probably would have heard of those bands and You would have
Yeah,
heard of my
yeah.
bands, yeah. Which I didn't think there would be that much of a disconnect because I kind
Mm.
of assumed we both listened to the same uh stuff. But yeah, do you guys have like regular jobs too, or
Yeah, 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 yeah. So at the moment, I'm working in IT. I think Jules works in insurance. Uh, Mitch works for the NHS, and Mason's an electrician. So yeah, we're all doing, the typical, typical, I guess, working class. Can you call them working class jobs? I guess they are. Making a living. But music's like our real passion. That's where we want to be, and this is why we do it because we want to get out of um, our full-time jobs and make it like this. That's our 9 to 5, but our 5 to 9 is doing music. And once we take off and that's solid, then we're going to be doing that full time.
yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean IT is a good job too, right? So like
Yeah,
I
it's okay.
mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Um is it I mean is it is IT pretty convenient? Like are you able to work from home or is it the type of thing where you gotta like go in every day?
Yeah, I mean that is one thing that is great for, yeah, because when I'm working from home at the moment, I get to sit here and I'm like, right, I'm able to, it gives me time like on my lunch breaks and stuff to write songs, do the whatever uploads I need to do at whatever time, so I can like schedule them and stuff like that. So yeah, it does give me that freedom and it does help me a lot because, I mean, I would say I finish work and then for the next 2 to 3 hours I'm working on band marketing, media and getting gigs and stuff like that. Like, so I'm probably putting in a good, what is that? So I'm doing 3 hours a night. 7, 14, 21 hours a week of just solid like band stuff. And that's not including gigs, practice, songwriting, and all the other bits and pieces. That's just purely focusing on sending out emails, getting playlists, uploading to Instagram, networking with other bands, uh, promoting the music, promoting the new single, uploading to stories, working on TikToks. And like I said, I'm not even I'm only doing the stuff that I enjoy. I'm not even doing like what some of these other bands must be doing, which is insane. So yeah, I feel like, but for me, that's not even, it doesn't feel like work. It's genuinely, like some people probably won't believe me when I say it, but I genuinely enjoy it. Like it's fun to me. Like it gets stressful sometimes when, you're sending out, I don't know, like 50 to 100 emails and you might only get like 3 or 4 responses, but that just won't stop me. Like I'm just gonna keep going. Like I'm gonna like I believe in the quote 3 foot from gold. No matter where you are, you're always that little bit harder work and eventually you'll reach it and then it'll keep going. And yeah, like I said, we are going to be the biggest band in the UK. There's no doubt in my mind, and we are going to get there. So it's just working on that and keep going. The idea's there, the belief's there, and I know we're good enough. It's just all we got to do is just prove it to other people, and we're there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's a awesome, outlook because it's like I really feel, especially in today's age, I feel
Mm,
like I was saying, like even though there was probably certain things that were like maybe easier in the 60s, like there was definitely like a boom in the 60s and 70s and but in today's age with like technology and like you're doing IT, it's like I feel like anybody should be able to make it at what they want to do. I mean, it's not like always true. Like if you're not good at it, but it's
mm,
like you guys are obviously a good band. Same thing with me,
mm.
like with my podcast. Like I feel like if I want to make this work, I got to make it work. And it's like the only
Yeah,
reason why it won't work is because I'm not fucking doing it
yeah, 100%.
and I'm not doing what I need to be doing. But it sounds like you guys definitely have the mindset of doing what you got to do to make it. That's cool.
Mhm.
And then in terms of like the band stability, because I knew like when I was in a band, there was a lot of like instability with like people being kicked out, and I eventually got kicked out because like we
Oh, we
started
have the
off,
same.
yeah, like we started off as like I think we started off as like punk, but then we like
Mm,
it seemed like we kept like transitioning through like whatever was like cool at the moment, which was lame, but it was like we were punk, everything I was into it, but it was like we were punk, and then we were like I guess we'd be like pop punk, and then emo, and then kind of like indie, and then we went to like
mm,
screamo, and then eventually they just wanted to go full on like kind of like almost like death metal, like metal
mm.
eventually. And that was when like I was out pretty much. Like
Yeah,
they
I'd be the same. I'd have done the
yeah.
same.
I mean, I not only was I out mentally, but like they ended up kicking me out. And this was guys that I was
Yeah,
like best friends with for like fucking years.
yeah.
And we had done it to
God.
previous people, and I felt bad. It was like friends of
Mm.
mine, like it just wasn't working out. But in terms of your band, um, has it been the main four guys the whole time consistently, or have you guys had some internal issues?
So no, yeah, we've had so many internal issues. You know, it's
It
I
just
think that
happens, you know?
yeah, I think that's part of the reason why we had the year break from when we was doing the singles because we was looking for a guitarist. We so originally me and our drummer Mason, we've been friends since college, and when I met him, I couldn't even play guitar, and then eventually I taught myself. We got the band together. We got two guys in instantly. I mean, I was when I started the band. I mean, I don't think I'm the best guitarist now, but when I started, I was absolutely atrocious. The worst thing you ever seen. I could just about string a couple of chords together. So the first two people left. Then the bass player who we've got now, Jules, he joined. Why he stayed, I'll never know. But because he's good and like, not only is he good musically, he knows his stuff. Like putting things together and like he. So like I'll write. I mean, Jules does write music, but I'll write music and then we'll bring a song in and then I'll play what I've written and then together me and him will come together and like create this actual song and like make it what it is. He's really good at that. Mitch is also who's joined is also really good. Like his knowledge is really good. I feel like it's perfect for me and Jules because where Jules is an artist, um, I I know this sounds crazy, but it's like is his name Rick Rubin? Rick Rubin, is that what I'm thinking of? So I
Yeah.
I believe his philosophy is absolutely spot on. So with Jules, he's a musician, he knows the chords, he knows the theory, he knows the stuff. With me, I can play stuff. I don't know hardly any of the chords I'm playing. I just copy what I need to do, and I just know where my fingers need to go, and then I'll play. Um, for me, the only measurement of what I need to know about a song is it good or is it bad? 80% of our listeners, when they listen to a song, they don't know the chord progression. They don't know if a note's out of key or that's out of key or this or that. They listen to it the same way as Rick Rubin does when he does it is this song shit? Is it good? And that's why it's perfect for me because I can sit there and be like, lads, this is shit, or lads, this is amazing. This is what we're doing, And then they focus on all the nitty gritty and they sort of get that for us, which is perfect. I'm going off topic again, sorry. So yeah, so me, Jules, and Mason got together quite early on. We are very tight. We sound amazing together. So we needed to find a lead guitarist. We have had more lead guitarists than Taylor Swift has probably had ex boyfriends. It's insane. We've just we've gone through lead guitarists like yeah nobody's business. That is, and I know what you mean about relationships. That is hard. Like sort of managing the band and doing most of it. It's always been me who's had to make that hard call and it's never nice because like even though I don't always know these people or I've just met them through doing music, you still you're gigging with these people and you're getting to know them, so you build up a friendship and like some of the highs and lows you've been through when you're in a band, it's like it's hard to uh let these people go. But usually it's just down to either lack of commitment or yeah, it's usually just down to lack of commitment or things going on in because all I ask for is someone turn up and just come to practice and play gig. That's all I ask. I'll do everything. I'll carry, I'm like I'm like Samwise Gamgee going up Mordor. I'll carry you on my back all the way to the top. Let me do it. All you got to do is turn up to practice, turn up to gigs. Eventually now, Mitch, who's actually friends with Jules, our bass player, he's come into the fold now. He's really good. Like theoretically and everything. Like he knows his stuff. He could play by ear and he sounds great. Um, so yeah, once we work on the new tracks and everything we're working on, people are saying how incredible he sounds. People are really happy with him. He looks cool on stage as well. I don't know what it is. He just he doesn't pull a face. He's just focused and he just looks cool as fuck on stage. So that really works out. But yeah, that's the four of us. That's I guess essentially our story, and that's how it's gone so far.
Do you have any live videos on YouTube that people have filmed or?
No, I think we on Instagram and TikTok we've got like videos of us playing live. They're usually short, so they're like a minute or two, but there is videos of us on Instagram and yeah, on TikTok of us playing live.
Yeah. So it's been you and the three you and the other two guys have always been there, but then it's just been the other guitarists that you've had to like
Yeah,
go through. You've had like what
yeah.
10 of those
I'd
about? But
say
that's
so. We
about
had
the amount of Taylor Swift's ex I think has been about
Maybe
10.
maybe not as many as her then, but I'd say we've had about five or six that I
Yeah.
get off the top of my head. I could be wrong there, but I want to say five or six. So we had that guy turn up, he left straight away. Josh, then we had Ben, then we had another guy, then we had Luke, and now we've got Mitch. So yeah, Mitch is our sixth guitarist.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
type of thing where like if they're not committed then I feel
Mm,
like it's kind of like their fault, you know what I mean? Like you need people who
mm,
are committed, and as long as you guys aren't, it's not just for like no good reason or whatever. I remember
mm,
like the first band that I was in, it was pretty much like some of my best friends, and we all got along, and it was just super fun. And but we had one main guy who I was really good friends with that like he's like you, where he did like everything, like booked the tours, like booked everything, like set everything all up
mm.
and kept it going. And so I think we were all kind of serious because he was doing all the hard work. But
Yeah.
then the next band that I went to, I was trying to get them to be in the same mindset because they were actually probably
It's
better.
hard, man.
It's hard to get people who
Yeah.
aren't in that mindset to do it. Because I was like, let's take this seriously. Let's try
Mm.
and go somewhere. But like, I think they just want to do it for fun. And when
Yeah.
you're doing it for fun, I'm kind of like, what's the point? Like,
It's
I
not the
kind of want
same.
to,
Yeah.
yeah,
But the thing is, I mean, I get what you're saying because I'm in the same mindset of you as, which is that, but the difference is I assume like you're really good, like you're a good musician or like your band was really good and what you do is really good because I'm in the same thing. Like, I'll be honest with you, like I've played football, I'm shit at it, right?
yeah,
I do snowboarding, I'm shit at it. There's so many things, like, I'll be honest, like, I can play guitar, but I'm a shit guitarist. I'm a great songwriter, and my band, like, individually, well, Mason is an amazing drummer. I mean, Jules plays bass, and he openly sits there and admits he just plays bass, which is, like, at a basic level isn't great. I mean, he does do a lot better, and as a guitarist he is incredible. But he'll even say, but then when we come together, it's actually insane. It's like one plus one plus one plus one equals 20. It's insane. I can't explain it, but like, individually we're good, we're not amazing, but then we come together and we're just fucking incredible. And for me, it's just like that drives me. If we wasn't good, I genuinely, or I wasn't good enough, I'd be doing this for fun, you know. I used to play football with my friends, and like some of my friends, like, who used to be semi-pro and stuff like that, they take it so seriously because that's their mindset and that's what they do. Whereas I was there for fun because I'm not as good as them. Like, I'm not that good. I enjoy playing football. I love it. I love watching it. Um, and it's fun and I enjoy it, but because I'm not that level, I've never needed to take it that serious, and I do it. So I do understand both sides of the coin, and but I also very much get where you're coming from. But I think it's where we're good musicians and we're good at what we do, like, why not be fucking the best? You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing stopping us. Do you know what I mean? We can that like, people can say a million no's to us, but we can still keep going. And I think I do get it. Whereas them guys were probably just in the same mindset where this is fun, but they probably find other things in their life better, or that's their purpose. Whereas for me, music, like, I've never done anything else that fills me with such purpose and drive and anything like that. Like, I'll openly admit I'm probably one of the laziest people you've ever met. So when people find out that, I'm doing 3 hours, 4 hours a night of just like at pure admin for the band, like, they're just shocked at what I'm actually doing. So yeah, I see it from both sides and I get it from both sides. But yeah, when you're that driven and everyone else isn't, it's honestly heartbreaking.
yeah. No, I definitely see both sides. Like, if you just want to do it for fun, then you just want to do it for fun. And there's people
Yeah.
like that who are like, I don't want to like be gigging all the time or like
Mm,
practicing all the time or recording all the time or writing music. Like, there's like, I'm just here for fun, and if that's what you want, that's fine. It's just hard when you have the mindset of like what you do, which is like taking it very seriously. Then you have someone who's just kind of like not taking it very seriously. It's hard to keep going because you're just on two different
yeah.
paths. But yeah, so I think we covered most everything. I've had like musicians on here before, and I
Mm,
feel like there's not and it's kind of hard to say, but it's like there's not as much to talk about. But I feel like I'm kind of like mostly just kind of like talking about bands. It's like hard for me to like. So I think we've
yeah, I know
kind of,
what you mean, like the
you know what I
music side
mean?
of things. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
saying.
it's
Yeah.
like when I've had people on to talk about like a specific topic that they're like an expert on.
Mm,
then it kind of like there's more to talk about besides just have questions. But with music stuff, it's just kind of
yeah,
like I feel like it's just kind of like us just talking about music, which is fine, but
yeah.
there's only so much to talk about. But if there's anything else that you wanted to go over, any other bands you wanted to plug or talk about or anything else, let me
Yeah,
know.
no,
Otherwise, we can just wrap it up.
yeah. Yeah, no, the only thing I want to talk about is just, well, I said it earlier, but just to reiterate the singles that we've got coming out in 17th of January and then the next one in April.
Okay, cool. And then I'll just, if you want to send me like your links to whatever
Yeah,
Spotify or whatever else,
nice.
you can send me those. And
Yeah.
then lastly, I always ask, um, like, what are some? I've already asked about music, so you can go over whatever
Mm,
music you want if unless you've already named all the bands, or like
mm,
movies, music, podcasts, anything you want to like plug that you're into. And I know that's kind of like a weird question because people are like, why would I want to plug someone else? But it's like I listen to a ton of podcasts and movies and music, and
mm.
I'm always looking for new stuff to listen to or watch.
Yeah.
So if there's anything you're into right now that you want to, um,
Yeah, definitely. I think like I said, like it's just looking at the British scene. A few of the bands that you need to be checking out for are people like the Bracknell, the Lilacs, the K's, PG Cialetta, Gareth Frey Height. They're probably going to kill me because I don't know if they're the real. I'm doing the proper pronunciation. Um, the Crooks, but definitely the Bracknell. I think we're going to go see them soon. They're another Essex band. Yeah, sorry, I'm just going to go for the Essex bands because all the other guys back themselves. So yeah, bands to look out for are going to be the Bracknell, Bilk, and I want to say the Lucetters. I think they're called the Lucetters. Really solid Essex bands, absolutely smashing it at the moment. So yeah, them three brands. Hopefully, I want to get some gigs with them as well because they're absolutely smashing the scene. They're doing so well, and yeah, I just want to be out there supporting Essex bands, and I think that they should be. They don't even need to support us, but as long as they support each other and create that scene in the Essex scene for other bands that are coming up that really want it, then I'd be happy enough with that.
yeah, it's really cool when you have like a scene, you know what I mean, as opposed to
Mm,
just like your own band, like when there's a bunch of different bands that are all together
100%.
playing the same type of music, and those bands are playing similar music to you guys, but they're like, I think you
Yeah,
said before, like they're like kind of like one level up above you guys in terms of
Yeah,
popularity.
I'd say they're either a level or a couple of levels up. I'd say because I think them guys are probably because what is it? It's like clubs and pubs and arenas and stadiums. So I think they're probably playing arenas now and things like that. So for instance, Bracknell on the 29th of November are going to be playing the Electric Ballroom, I think in Camden. We're going to be down there watching them because yeah, them guys are fucking yeah, they're smashing it. They're not too far from us as well. Bilk, they're a little bit on the other side of Essex, but them guys are absolutely smashing it as well. Like their music videos look sick. Their music's pretty good. I think they're also heavily influenced by Oasis, like we are. So,
That
they're doing
one's
well.
that one's
What's it?
Bilk, like
Bilk, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bilk.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
them, yeah. And
Okay.
then the Luchettas, who are pretty much on their way to being as big as them two bands. But they're I would say they're the biggest three bands in Essex at the moment, and them guys are absolutely smashing it.
And you're like friends with them too.
I wouldn't say we're friends. Like we speak with the Bracknell. They're really good. We look up to them guys because we always speak to them, get advice from them. They're really helpful, really friendly, and like it's actually nice for a band who's doing that well to be supportive of like emerging bands and things like that. Um, so yeah, like we really look up to them guys, and them guys. Their vibe as well is just insane. Like it's very much the same. It's like football terrace wear. They look cool as fuck. Their music sounds sick, and yeah, they're smashing it.
All right, cool. Thanks for coming on, Greg. And for anybody
Cool,
who's
thanks, Michael.
listening, if you want to listen to this in I always forget to like say this. If you want to listen to it in audio, go to Conversations with Strangers on any podcast platform or on YouTube. YouTube Conversations with Strangers, and then I'll go ahead and send you those links when they're done. It should be up in about a day or two.
Cool, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.